Fuck it! Hello, old friend.
While it's true that yes, there's yet another World War II shooter, DICE unveiled a very different type of multiplayer experience. It's not just decidedly different from Battlefield 1942, but also of more recent Second World War video games like Call of Duty World War II. DICE is very well aware that players have seen this war before. That's exactly why the Swedish developer is doing their best to switch things up. New gameplay changes will make their game more tactical than ever, with additional opportunity to surprise opponents. There's also fresh modes that are unlike any other ways players have touched Battlefield before. Oh, and Electronic Arts, of all the publishers, is actually being quite consumer friendly in a surprising move. With that in mind, here are 10 Battlefield 5 features that are changing how gamers will view World War II shooters. Check them out below, and make sure to give your own thoughts on the exciting changes in the comment section. While World War II is quite the familiar territory for gamers, DICE isn't content with telling the same old story. Instead, new parts of the team will be shown, including the snowy mountains of Norway, the North African desert, and the city of Rotterdam. These are fresh stories, even if the backdrop of Axis versus Allies is still the same. This new 4-player cooperative mode blends a more structured single-player experience with multiplayer. All 4 players will start as different paratroopers that will have to live, die, and fight together if they want to achieve victory. A mission generator will randomize objectives and make the experience a fresh one each time out. So it looks to be one of the most replayable modes in the game. DICE views it as a safe haven that will get newcomers into Battlefield's sandbox gameplay without feeling as hectic as the 64-player competitive multiplayer matches. One of the absolutely crazy aspects is the fact that players can now tow stationary weapons. Yes, you can now attach a giant anti-aircraft gun to the back of the trailer and start shooting at flying objects while moving around below. It's the craziest drive-by shooting possible, but undeniably Battlefield. It's the type of experimentation I love to see from the Swedish studio. One of the biggest changes to the core gameplay is how revives will work. Gone are the possibilities of revive trains, as DICE wants a more physical interaction for players in order to deepen the immersion. This new animation allows any squad mate to save a downed ally, but non-medics will take longer and won't bring players back at full health. It's an interesting balance change, and one I can't wait to see impact matches. Taking a page out of Rainbow Six Siege's playbook, Battlefield players will now have the opportunity to play defensively. Destruction has always been a huge part of the series, and now it can be countered. By fortifying areas, players can now create strong points that can stand additional damage. It will add a new layer to Battlefield's sandbox style of combat. One of the coolest new features is that players will be able to create their own company of soldiers. These characters are defined by how the player performs on the battlefield and are shaped by how one plays. All 3 of the core modes will impact how it plays out, and the new archetype system will allow for players to make each class their own. Similar to Call of Duty World War II's War Mode, Grand Operations are multiplayer maps with multiple tiers to them, spanning multiple modes and maps that get to tell a greater version of the war rather than a singular battle. It's yet another blend of multiplayer with story, and it will be interesting to see how it winds up. Arguably the biggest feature of Battlefield 5, Tides of War, will act as the game's live service. It will bring with it a slew of new events and connects the entire game together through a game-wide progression system. These are smart quality of life changes by Electronic Arts, and ones that will keep players coming back for more over time. This is easily DICE's most customizable shooter that they've ever made. This isn't just about being able to change how your tanks and weapons work, although you can certainly do that, but there's also a staggering level of visual options to work with. These aren't stats based, which means that the best gear won't cause players to look the same, and that there will be plenty of personality when played online. Electronic Arts isn't exactly the first publisher one thinks of when they see the words pro-consumer, but that's exactly how their new business model is for Battlefield 5. By getting rid of season passes and paid expansions, they're ensuring that the player base is never split into fractions. It's a great move for a game that is focusing on being a live service. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait till the game's released to see if any of these features will truly revolutionize another World War II shooter.